wearing capes. But they will arrive.
Right. We were supposed to bring capes today.
Forgot my cape.
They will rescue you from the damage that may have occurred to your home, and you will be so grateful. They will bring the light at the end of the tunnel that you've been waiting for. Joe Reichel and Rob Sobieski are here to tell you how they do that and what they've done in the past to help others. This is Damage Control, and they, of course, are with Damage Control Services here in Ocala, and they'll help you out with your damage, and we'll give you their number in just a bit. Right now, if you'd like to call on the air, though, the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline is 622-9622. Speak to Joe and Rob and ask them what can you do about that issue that you're dealing with. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was just showing you some pictures from the damage from
unbelievable the damage from up north.
Sandy.
Yeah.
Sandy,
Not even know where to begin with that kind of damage.
Holy mackerel! That is just unbelievable. You know, and the governor had stated that they could use that the insurance companies had to honor photographic evidence,
right?
Because another storm was coming in, and there wasn't any time,
right,
for them to.
And that is important in any disaster, to take plenty of photos. We're working on one right now. The guys are there today. It's a mold job. A pipe was broken and leaking underneath the wood flooring, and they didn't really know it.
Oh no!
And a lot of mold started showing up, and we took it apart. Took the area apart and found where the leak was coming from, and then we drying it out. But in the process, because taking everything apart and exposing the different layers of damage, we take lots of photos whenever we go to into a situation like that where we're rebuilding something. So it's always important to take lots of pictures of any type of disaster.
Wow.
This afternoon we're going to a house that burnt over in Dunellen, and we'll be taking our cameras with us and taking lots of pictures of everything so that we can document it in order to figure out how to rebuild it.
Oh wow! Does that smell ever leave your nose? Oh, I know it does. But I mean, when you walk into some place that's burned, isn't it worse? Somehow, maybe it's a psychological thing. Than if you just were at a campfire.
Oh,
somewhere?
It's a lot worse.
It seems worse, yeah.
It's the same stuff. Wood is burning, but for some reason...
Well, there's a lot of other things than wood burning you don't realize.
Maybe, yeah, that's what it is.
Insulation and paint and
plastics.
Yeah, all kinds of
Yeah,
things.
that's true. Yeah,
my wife would tell me whenever I came home, if I happened to even just go look at a fire job, that she would tell me, you were at a firehouse today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, so she could
smell
tell.
it in the car.
But, I mean, it stays in your nose for a while, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I remember when I was a kid, the grocery store in my neighborhood burned down. And for some reason, we were able to go in there. I had some friends whose parents were in the fire department, so they took us in there. We saw the unbelievable. What used to be a store was now had an open roof. It was had collapsed, and
right.
It was a mess. And I couldn't get that smell out of my nose.
We've had several, speaking of fires, several fires that have been started by candles that we've been on recently. There was one. But then, almost a year ago, I guess it was a year ago, there was a candle that was in a jack-o'-lantern caught fire and burned the front of a house. It was sitting outside and burnt the front of the house, and we rebuilt that over in the northeast side of town. But, it's always important if you've got a candle lit or whatever, as far as something that could cause a fire, to be careful around it, to make sure that you're not leaving it unattended or it's in a container where it's not going to catch fire. So, it's devastating, the type of damage that we see as a result of these type of things.
The phone number to call if you have a question, the number is 622-9622. That's the Climate Control Source Hotline as opposed to Damage Control, 622-9622. The one thing that comes up this time of year is the accidental fire from heaters and things that we put on and forget about. We're not used to them or whatever. Those space heaters, I imagine that's got to be a cause of fire now and then.
Yeah, that definitely is an area of concern. The space heaters... Just the fumes also that they give off, but people getting things a little too close, maybe falling asleep a little too close to the space heater with blankets or whatnot. Or
is that how they stay warm in the International Space Station?
That could be
space heater.
A space heater. That's a good.
That's just
Good
a
thought.
silly,
Just a thought.
not even worth it joke, is it?
And we're laughing about it anyway.
So what happened in Denellen? What was the story?
I really don't know.
Yeah.
I just got a phone call an hour ago. I guess it happened last week. A family lost pretty much everything, and insurance is, basically told them they've got to, figure out, get someone in as a restoration company to work with the cleaning up and the rebuilding part of it.
So how does that help us, take us on that tour? Here's the family, they're devastated.
Well, they're devastated and don't really know what to do.
And do they know about you, or do they know about your kind of business?
They may. In this instance, they've called their insurance company because that's the first person you call is your insurance company. And typically what happens is they'll give you a claim number. They'll tell you that usually within 48 hours, an adjuster, a claims adjuster, will come out and he will come to see you and evaluate and get the process started as far as making a claim and getting you in the steps to get money to, if it's a covered claim, to start the rebuilding, cleanup and rebuilding process.
And does the insurance company recommend you? Or, do they know
Sometimes,
about you, obviously? Yeah.
Sometimes, and that's the thing. It really depends, on who your agent is. Sometimes they'll recommend someone. Sometimes all you have is an 800 number to call, and that'll start the process, and you don't really get to talk to someone. So that's why it's important to have a good relationship with your local agent or someone to. But in this case, a family member of theirs is who called me this morning, and she said, "Joe, I need you to help. I need you to help my family." And she gave me their number and set up an appointment for me at 3:30 this afternoon. So we're going to go out there. But and when we do that, insurance company the insurance company has told them that they need to collect estimates, get 2 estimates for at least 2 for the rebuild process, and that's not necessarily true. Not something you have to do. You as a homeowner have the right to choose whoever you want to do the work. The insurance company is only going to give you so much money to do that work, and it's up to you to find or to choose who you want to do that repair work.
Okay, so let's say I get an estimate from you guys, and I get an estimate from a competitor of yours, and his is lower. Mm-hmm. The insurance company wants to pay that amount.
That's exactly what will happen.
But I can still hire you guys.
You could hire us.
And the insurance company will pay me that amount to pay you.
Right.
And I just got to come up with the difference.
Or what we find, or what works good for us, is whenever we're able to work with the agent, or the insurance adjuster, to come to an agreed upon price. So if you have damage and you decide you want Rob and I and our company to be the ones that are going to fix it for you, we will work with the adjuster to make sure that you are getting everything that you deserve from your insurance company. We'll come to an agreed upon scope of work and thus an agreed upon price. Sometimes, on a big job, we'll, even the small jobs, I guess, sometimes if it's an adjuster that we've worked with on several jobs, or oftentimes we provide them a scope of work, and then they just go with that. I mean, they'll agree to what we say needs done, because we use a computer program to come up with the pricing. So we put everything into the computer, right, and it tells us how much it's going to cost.
Well, yeah, and as a homeowner, you want it done right, and well. You don't want a staple gun or something.
Yeah, you don't want to shortcut things. You want your home built back the way it was, or even better.
In the pictures I was showing you from Long Island, I didn't get to the one I saw earlier today, but I wanted to show it to you. So let me describe it. It was a tree that literally fell straight into the front of the house, like right over the front door, and it looked to me to be like the worst place a tree could fall, I guess. Is it harder to fix it if it's like, is there a main beam that if that gets broken you really have a job to do, as opposed to, are there lesser beams, or are all beams created equal?
Well, there certainly is there are areas of a home that are easier to fix than others. I do know what you're getting at, but there are crucial areas of a home where there's a support girder or a trusses or a main beam that does support a considerable amount of the weight of the home. So
that gets broken.
If that gets broken, then that definitely adds considerably to the amount of work that is needed to be done to rebuild the home.
And the flooding that we saw, I remember, I don't remember how long ago it was, at least 5 years, I suppose, but in Crystal River, I remember the water coming up into some neighborhoods where I had some friends, and it might have been 3 or 4 inches deep, but still, that's enough to get the bottom of all the houses in that block. In fact, there was a cemetery across the street, and some of those were ruined, I guess, or needed to be repaired.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's whenever a tree falls on a home, one of the first things that we'll do, depending on the situation, one of the first things we do is get a structural engineer involved. We'll have him come out to the home and take a look at it, evaluate and then determine exactly what needs to be replaced and how it needs to be done. People don't realize when a tree hits, one side of the home, the force from that tree falling can affect everything all the way through the home to the other side.
Makes sense.
The way that the pressure and the force and how everything is tied together can rack the entire structure. So it's important to make sure you get the right professionals involved and don't just, come in, take tree off, and patch it. You've got to make sure you get it fixed right.
So you literally get a tree guy to get the tree out of there first, right?
Depending on the situation. We've taken some off ourselves because, we've got the equipment to, cut, chainsaws and whatever. But, if it's a large tree, we'll call in the tree company. A tree company, we work with several of them, or they will also call in a crane in order to take in order to get the tree up. So we did one recently with a home over here northeast side of town. It was an Angie Lewis client, and she had called Marion Trimming, and they came in, great tree company. They came in and with the crane company and attached, they hooked onto the tree and picked it all up in one section with the crane in order to get it off the house. So,
wow, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it was neat to watch. So it didn't take long for them to get that, get the mess cleaned up, because once it was off the home, we were able to dry in and get the roof protected in case of any rain. So
the damage that we saw in those pictures earlier involved cars also. Obviously you wouldn't fix the car, but the idea that damage can, like you say, have a domino effect on other parts of the house, or even things that are not the house, the car, and who knows what else.
On Friday, I was at a home southwest Ocala, and a lady had driven her car into her garage, and when she got stopped in the garage, she reached over into the floorboard of the passenger seat and didn't put it in park.
Oh, no.
And when she reached over, her foot slipped off the brake, I guess, and she slid forward, or drove forward into the home.
Oh, no.
And hit right below the panel box, the electrical panel box in the wall, and pushed everything about 3-4 inches into the house.
Wow, she could have been electrocuted.
It could have been very bad. Fortunately, no one was hurt, and the car wasn't even hardly damaged. But now they've got a wall to fix in the home, and several walls because of that, because of pushing everything through the home.
Yeah, that one car we saw was burned up from electric.
Yes,
the electrical wires.
It can be very bad. We've dealt with several electrical fires different times, so they can cause quite a bit of damage.
Is there a common cause for electrical fires? Is it the wires just get old? What happens?
I would think that's probably the biggest reason would be just the walled wiring. Faulty at one point or another. Breakers do get weak. Even the breakers in the panel box will get weak. So I think that's a...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And the outlets themselves.
Yeah.
Outlets themselves can become old in time and cause an outlet to cause it to short out. So It's important to, if you're getting an older home or you have an older home, it's important to do these, some regular maintenance checks on things. In the wintertime especially, if you feel your panel box getting warm, and, you can touch your breaker box, and touch the breakers, and if you have any of them that are significantly warmer, you'd want to get an electrician out to check that, because it will cause a fire.
Good advice. By the way, there was another fire tip, since we're talking about it. It was with the dryer, the clothing dryer.
Mm-hmm.
You know that screen that catches the lint?
Yeah.
Did I talk about this too?
I think we might have.
The bounce?
Right.
Yeah.
The bounce sheets will sometimes cause a film on there. So
That's
yeah,
right.
I think we did.
We did talk about that.
It's important. There are lots of dryer vent fires that are caused because of people not maintaining their dryers. It's something that lint gets stuck in the machine and catches fire.
Yeah, it's something you got to keep that thing cleaned out, right?
That's right.
If you have a question and you would like to ask it on the air, the number is 622-9622. That's the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, 622-WOCA. If we wanted to call you guys at your office, I'm guessing that the calls you get, like you said, was from a friend.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm guessing it's not a habit call. It's because these people are at that moment where, oh man, I hope these people can help me. Especially if they've never spoken to you before, right?
Right.
So you've got to have like real good people skills at that point, don't you?
Yeah, you would think so. Yes.
I mean, do you get the panic call?
We do get panic calls, but a lot of times with referrals, that's the referrer is generally the person that will call us and say, like Joe got a call from someone saying my family member has this fire. So they're usually the cooler and calmer person.
And do they give you the third degree? Do they ask you to list your credentials and all that? Do you get that stuff?
At that point, if they feel they've gotten a good referral, because that is what makes a good referral for us, is someone that gives us a good vote of confidence, that this is somebody that's helped me in the past, or someone that's helped a friend of mine in the past, that generally brings down a lot of those guarded questions, the skepticism about who are you and why are you here and what's your intention. If you come referred, a lot of that you come in through a different entrance, and people generally would be a lot more receptive and just interested in getting the work done, getting their house back in shape, or getting the damage stopped at this point and move forward.
So in your mind,
sadly, though, most of the time when people are in that state, they are, they are emotional.
Yeah.
I mean, I've dealt with, I had homeowners where, one moment she's fine, the next minute she's crying. And then others are like, well, at least everybody's okay, and it can be rebuilt. So, there's a variety of different emotions. And they just need to. There's a lot of times what we, as we're going through this situation, we're trying to help them, not just to fix their home, but to help them emotionally as well. So it's a balancing act.
Yeah, I would imagine.
You have to be able to sense when to proceed with the business part of the job, and when to hold back and just be a listener, or just someone to make sure everything's okay.
When you actually show up at the home that was called about, is it sometimes exactly the opposite of what you pictured based on the phone call? Like it's either way worse or way not as bad?
Yes, it goes both ways.
That happens quite a bit.
Really?
We did a flood not too long ago, and they were like, well, it's only a little bit, and we're trying to assess what we'll need, and that was a call Rob and I both went to, and when we got to the job, we wished we had a lot more equipment and even more manpower.
Oh, really?
In order to help out.
It was a lot worse than they described.
It was worse than they described.
Downplayed it quite a bit. Yeah.
Well, I would imagine drywall, when it's not dry, is useless.
Pretty much.
It's just like, was it like putty, or it just falls apart?
Yep. It's just a mud. It's no longer dry, it's mud.
So if you had like 2 feet of water, let's say, the bottom part, I mean, you have to replace the whole panel, right? Or am I wrong about that?
It really depends how long it's sat, how long it's been wet.
Oh, really? So you might be able to cut off the bottom part? Oh, okay.
Right.
We've had homes where just a couple inches of water in a home, and at that point we'll cut up about 2 feet. We've had homes where we've had to take it up 4 feet high all the way around. and then replace it from there. So it really depends on how long it's sat and how wet it's got, and then what we'll do from there.
Do you do everything? The carpets, the painting, and the molding, and everything? Wow.
Yeah, that
again, depending on the type of water, like Joe was saying, and how long it was wet, it could have to all be taken out. It may not, none of it possibly could be salvaged. But we would have to take out the flooring, whatever flooring it may be.
Yeah.
Carpet, laminate flooring, and then base, sheetrock, trim, depending again on the category of water. If it's sewage, then there's no saving.
Have you ever had this kind of damage control call where, let's say it was the landlord who really didn't keep up with the property, the tenant had 80 cats, and there was all kinds of cat crap and smells, and have you ever had that kind of a call where finally they kicked this tenant out and they said, can you guys fix this place? Yeah, you got one?
Those seem to be, we seem to have gotten a couple of those, unfortunately. So it's
what kind of damage?
I can't think of one that had a lot of fleas in it. One we had.
Yeah.
Oh, you had a lot of fleas?
Sometimes they get rough.
So
we just treat it as any other job. It's
insurance might not cover that.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends. It depends on what coverage you have.
It could be called a catastrophe.
Yeah, it could be.
You were setting yourself
pretty
up
much
for that,
is.
No, it just came to me.
It pretty much is a catastrophe.
A catastrophe.
But in the one that I'm thinking of, the home was a lot of damage, a lot of garbage. Everything was just trashed.
Oh, a hoarder?
Not necessarily.
Just garbage?
It was just garbage. Yeah, a lot of food. I mean, food was left in there, and the fleas were terrible.
Holy mackerel!
It was just a terrible situation, and that was not covered by their insurance. The homeowner, the renter, had to pay to get it cleaned out and treated and fixed back up so that they could continue renting it.
Wow.
Yeah. The one we had that I went on, it was not that bad as far as garbage and all, but there was so much belongings in the house, so much stuff. It was, I guess, close to being a hoarder, I guess you'd say. So it took a lot of work just to move.
Just to get the stuff
everything.
out of there.
And it was a water loss, so it was the carpet, everything on the floor is what had to be moved and dried. And it was an insurance claim, so everybody's compensated. The new carpet throughout the house. We had to cut the sheetrock up, like we mentioned, 2 feet, and the base and trim. But it was it's quite another back-breaking job when you have to move so much throughout the house.
Do you see that Pepsi box down there? That's been down there since 2004, since the hurricanes of 2004. Okay. The reason it's there is to keep that electrical strip.
Is there Pepsi in it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because that was one of we were giving away prizes back then. Pepsi had some kind of a promotion with us, and when the whole Cascades flooded.
Right.
In fact, there were turtles up to the steps. There was no fish for some reason. They stayed in the pond, but the turtles were everywhere, and it was maybe about halfway up the first steps, or maybe 2 or 3 inches at the most. Okay, but the point is, it was in here.
Right.
And so I hurried and tried to get we had that one wasn't here, that computer, and so I had to lift
your electronics up.
That's it. It's important. That's something that people don't even think about. It's it's very possible for your home or your business to flood. You should have all of your at least up on a board or something.
Stuff,
all of your electronics, if it's on the floor, have it up on something, so that if a commode was to get stopped up and continue to flow, or a supply line breaks and you're not there and it leaks overnight, it's very possible you could lose a lot more than just your flooring.
And you guys are doing the mall for us?
Yep.
That's right.
I heard it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, as general contractors, we do commercial and residential construction. So
you're building the new WOCA.
Right.
Yes, sir.
I got to go over there and see it. Dan was telling me it
is looking good.
We were good at the damage part.
There you go.
You're good at the control part.
You guys damaged it well.
We damaged it very well.
The demolition side.
You don't even know what it looked like. It was unbelievable what it looked like. And the sledgehammer comes in real handy when that's all your job is to take things down. It was kind of fun.
That's the fun part, right.
We've had some of those.
Stress relief.
We've had some of those, especially a whole house that's caught on fire. to go through and demo everything that's...
So that's where you're heading out to Denellen to look at something like that?
That'll be later on this afternoon.
So that's got to be sad. I mean, you got to really be holding your breath, hoping that it's not as bad as you think, right?
Well, I've been told the family lost everything, so it's going to be pretty bad. Fortunately for us, it has been several days. This happened last week. So,
well, you know,
most of the shock will be over.
Since we have this relationship, we should... part of our damage control efforts could be simply mentioning it to the listeners, because this is a giving community.
It really is.
If they find out, for example, that they're not going to have Thanksgiving or they're not going to have Christmas toys or something like that, they'll come together for this stuff.
That is that's a great idea, Larry, and I will when I meet with them this afternoon. Rob and I are planning on going there at 3:30, so we'll be able to find out, some details on that for sure.
See what they're in need of, yeah.
Yeah, if you find out, because everybody, it's like, if you had this one rich guy in the world who always came down and kind of blessed you with, $10,000, that would be nice. But that's not the way it works. It's usually 10,000 people with $1.
They give a little.
That's what it takes.
Yeah, and that makes a community. I think we all know that we helped out somebody who needed help.
Right.
Because guess what? They're going to be there for me too when I need it.
Yeah,
I know they are. I love the show. I love what you do. I mean, you represent a really good part of
even without our capes.
Well, the capes need to be when you do a TV commercial.
Okay.
Dan will do a TV commercial for you, and you guys have to show up with your kid. Damn it, the sad song. Here it is, the sad song.
That's not sad. That's happy.
Yeah, that's what I think.
You think so?
Yeah.
It's just
we're controlling the damage.
All right, it's happy with a tear.
Well, there's a little sadness, but we're bringing the hope.
Thank you both. We went over, I know. Joe Reichel and Rob Sobieski, give us your phone number one more time.
My phone number, direct line, 352-817-6574.
Okay.
And the office is 622-5135.
And Rob?
My cell phone is 352-817-3625.
All right, excellent. Thank you for what you do. You're encouraging all of us, inspiring all of us.
Thank you. Enjoyed it today.
We'll take a little break and be right back.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala. The weather is brought to you by MyFWC.com. Life jackets